time we face them.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel D&T Evolution podcast with myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Strout.
And we are live out on all of our platforms. Jarian, tell these lovely people where we're at.
Yeah, so we are streaming to the Facebook page for the group act itself on Facebook, our Twitter account, our Twitch account, and YouTube.
Nice. So lots of different channels where these guys can find us, yeah? So just a quick little recap on last week's episode. We went over the Multiverse of Madness trailer, not necessarily with a fine-tooth comb, because we never do that. There's other great resources out there that do that, but we certainly got stuck in with that one, and it's still playing on me. The trailer. I've still watched it about 4 or 5 times in the last week.
I watched it last night again. You know, like I was sitting there counting the chairs again. And I was. They had that one shot where it like speeds past Mordo swinging it strange, and I was like, there they are, all 6 chairs. You know, like.
And then Marvel actually posted that the TV spot again from the Super Bowl. I saw it on Twitter. I posted to the group, but it looks like it has a couple more things in it. So make sure you check that out. But between the TV spot and the trailer.
Nice. So if you're out there and you're listening or you're watching, drop us a little message on any channel that you're on and say hello. In a little while later on to this evening, we're going to be talking about some questions and some theories that you guys have been leaving us this week, just to give us something to sort of work off of. But by all means, jump in. Give us a question. We can have live questions or live theories, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right. So, but before we get started, because we've got some news to go through, and quite a bit of news, isn't it, Jarian? And we've got at least 2 or 3 questions and or theories that we want to get through with Alex. But Jarian, show these guys what you've got.
Yeah, so over my right shoulder today, and Alex was ragging on me for not having this built yet. It just arrived. It just arrived today. So I didn't have time to build it yet, but the new Lego Infinity Saga, Thor's hammer. I have Mjolnir behind me over my right-hand shoulder, so looking forward to building that. I was surprised that came because it wasn't supposed to be out till March 2nd, but my Target shipment came really early.
Is that going to be life-size hammer, Jarian? Do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It is.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it looks big. Oh yeah, it was a long way away. I forgot that.
Yeah,
perspective.
so this is pretty big.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, this thing is about.
It's even got a stand.
1,000 pieces. Yep, has a nice stand. Has the Infinity Saga, just like you see with the Gauntlet, and with some of the other pieces that came out as well. So yeah. I'm hoping we get Stormbreaker someday as well. That'd be awesome to get another one.
Huge.
But
Will
yeah,
it
this thing
stick
looks
together?
pretty big. So, and it's got inside of it. So it looks like there's an apartment for the Gauntlet and Thor himself, and all the Infinity Stones. I even see the Eternal Flame and the Tesseract as well. And there's a little compartment inside of it. So this thing is actually going to stand 18 inches high and almost 12 inches in width.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's pretty sizable. This could be a nice bookend on a bookshelf too. So look forward to building this one. And speaking of Thor Legos as well, they have the goat boat coming out that I posted to the group.
The goat boat.
Where it looks like you have the goats there
Yeah.
from Thor, the mystical goats, and you have a couple of characters on there. But the biggest one is we see Gore on there, and he has a sword. So it does look like if the Lego set rings true, which they've been pretty good. Yes, there's been some mistakes and some changes, but it looks like the Necro sword is gonna not just be in What If, but also in the main MCU timeline.
I can't lie. I'm probably looking forward to seeing Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder more than I'm looking forward to seeing Gore. You can't go wrong with a mystical goat, can you?
And this Lego set may confirm some rumors out there, because there's been rumors too that this is going to be a road trip like movie. So if they're out there with them and on the boat looking for stuff, it looks like those rumors are looking true from this Lego set.
Without trying to diverge a little bit, because this wasn't on the plan. I mean, do you think we're going to see Beta Ray Bill in this?
Oh,
Uh,
I hope so.
I don't know. It seems like they'll keep teasing him because we've heard him in Guardians of the Galaxy. We saw his statue in Ragnarok. I don't know if we're gonna get him. I don't know.
We'll
Maybe
see.
maybe way down the line before like a
Yeah.
Secret Wars like event, like bring in him and Jane Foster, Thor.
Mm,
Or what if
yeah.
episode maybe.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, that could be a good opportunity. We've got a few people in watching. We've got Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How you doing? Thanks for catching up with us again, Jamie. Of course, I wouldn't expect anything less than Jamie watching. So glad to see you there, mate. Okay, so Alex, have you well before we get started, have you bought any new Funkos? You must have done.
Yeah, actually, I did buy a new Funko. I didn't bring it over here, but I bought the metallic Spider-Man from the What If one from Walmart, and it was actually kind of funny. I just bought it. I saw it. I was like, oh, I really like this Funko. Put it in the cart. Like, went home, scanned it. Didn't even realize it was the metallic Funko until I scanned it into the app. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so there's so many different kinds. You've got flocked, you've got like all these different kind of styles and things like that. So, it's it's got the Walmart sticker on it, so it doesn't say like metallic or anything on it. So like I didn't even know. So that's pretty
Nice.
much like the extent of my purchases for the week.
That's pretty good for you.
yeah, that's on the better end of what I should be doing.
Yeah, I've not read anything new this week. I did buy the first episode of a new collection of books, the ones behind me, but I'm not going to go into it because I think they're going to repeat a load of them. But it was only $1.99, and it was a graphic novel of New Ways to Die Spider-Man arc. Come for a free poster, so I was like, I'll pick that up. Not going to get into collecting the whole series because it just goes on forever and costs a fortune. But yeah, looking forward to reading that one. But let's crack on then, shall we? So coming in, Jarian, let's go through some news in whatever order you fancy, and we'll butt in if we feel like we need to. And if anybody listening wants to add in their 2 pence when they hear Jarian's news pieces, then please feel free to do so.
Yeah. So speaking of Legos, we already have a Sanctum from Legos from Infinity War. But it looks like there's going to be another Sanctum coming out this summer from Lego. It's going to be one of their mock size ones. So if you're not familiar with Lego mocks, they're more of bigger piece ones where you can build cities with, like actual cities. It's going to be mock size. It's supposed to be like 2,000 pieces around, but it's going to tease some characters that might be showing up in Multiverse of Madness. And this set is, I'm not going to go into those characters because I want to do any spoilers. It's on the page if you want to see it. I didn't share it to the group, I don't think. But it looks like it's going to release after Multiverse of Madness sometime this summer. So that's probably how they're going to get rid of, not a big spoiler of characters that are going to be in that set.
Nice. Yep. Wise idea, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To release it after the movie if it's going to spoil things. So
yeah. And then next one looks like Secret Invasion is doing some underwater scenes. So I don't know if we'll have Skrulls possibly infiltrating Atlantis maybe as we see that. But some of the reports out there showed them filming underwater with some Skrulls. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how that one will fit it. How that one will fit in. Maybe they've got people in Wakanda. Maybe they've got Skrulls in Wakanda.
Or a crash or something even as well. It could be, but we'll see. But a couple of Craven news coming out though. So it looks like Fred Hetchinger is going to join as Chameleon in the Craven movie. So that was reported. But we also have Calypso as well, who's going to be in Craven. And that's going to be played by, I got to skip up here for this one. I'll do both at the same time. That's going to be played by, where was my place mark for that? There we go. By Taylor Page. She'll be playing Calypso in Craven. So it looks like Craven is rounding out their cast. We already have Russell Crowe in there. It looks like he'll play possibly Craven's father or an older tribes member. But Craven is getting that cast rounded out. So it's good to see that.
I'm interested to see where they go with Craven. So, is he going to be a villain even in his own movie? Is this going to be about a villain, this movie? Or is he going to be, the anti-hero? Are they going to go down that kind of Venom, Morbius type route where it doesn't look like they're full-on villains? Or I don't know. I mean, I've only only read a little bit of the source material with Craven in, and each time I've read it, he's been an absolute psycho.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't. Like I said, I've not got a full knowledge of his source material, but everything that I've read, he seems to have been really, but evil, basically. So I don't know if you guys know any different.
Well, Chameleon's his brother, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, this is really interesting because like it makes me wonder: are they gonna pit the brother versus brother in this movie? Or are they
Yep.
gonna end up having like something completely different where it's just like, hey, he never actually is Chameleon. It's just like, hey, this is my brother, and you know of him, but you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like
It's like a
his.
setup. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'm curious to see how they do that. I'm not sure what they'll do with this movie. It's a really kind of like interesting thing because I know a lot of people were like rooting for like a Craven's Last Hunt like thing with the Spider-Man movie at one point. So like, and I know some people are still rooting for that with this movie. So like, you never know.
Well, I think if they do Craven and a Spider-Man crossover, especially since it's been rumored that we're going to have 3 more Spider-Mans, that whole Craven's Last Hunt is probably going to take a trilogy to get that whole story out
Yeah.
to do it justice. They can't do that in one film. They won't do that story justice. I do think that this Craven movie is probably going to be more of like a Venom 1 type setup film to kind of get the backstory, the origin, kind of set up, and then something probably teased in the end credits or something happens at the end of the film to continue the story for it to cross over to Spider-Man type thing.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get a great deal of Spider-Man references in this one.
Yeah, this seems like all set up. So.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So we have some Blade news as well. So Aaron Pierre has been casted in a major role in Blade. And we kind of theorized this in the group a little bit. I don't think he's like a Dracula type role or anything like that, but I do think he could be playing someone like Hannibal King. Because if you think about it, Hannibal King was a foe and then became a friend later. So he could be in that type of sense. I'm just going to say this right now. I do think everything Marvel's doing is setting up Midnight Suns. And I actually think that Blade is the Nick Fury of the Midnight Suns, who he's recruiting people, because we've already seen him at the end of Eternals with Dane Whitman becomes Black Knight. I would be shocked if we don't see any kind of setup or reference or any kind of thing with him in Moon Knight, along with Werewolf by Night as well, for him to pull them into the team also.
There's quite a few of these kind of link-up characters. Sorry, just before I go on, hi Roxy, how you doing? Roxy's on. There's quite a few of these link-up characters that we're starting to see now, haven't we? Like you say, we reckon we're going to see Blade as this link-up character. We've obviously got Val, who's becoming a link-up character. There's, Nick Fury's still going to be on the scene, so he's still going to be around. So it looks like they're using these kind of, like I say, these link-up characters just to bring everybody together in different roles. So, it'd be interesting to see what kind of role Blade plays in the wider universe.
I think Blade's like the horror side of it. Val's the street level, and Fury's kind of moved over to the space/cosmic level. If I were to put those in different categories.
Perfect. Yeah. Is there another level? Is there somebody? Is there somebody that we have to cover? Another area that we have to cover?
Yeah.
Mystical,
right now.
Mystical sort of
mystical thing. Maybe like Doctor Strange, mystical,
or Wong could be doing that. We've seen Wong in a few different places.
Yeah. Oh, Andy's frozen.
We've seen him with Abomination. We've seen him.
Go ahead. You said Abomination. You froze for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. I was just saying. So we've seen Wong with Abomination.
And he froze again.
And go on. You carry on.
Yeah, I'll fix what Andy was saying. So we've seen, Wong kind of be the mystical one with the Abomination. At the end of Shang-Chi with Banner and with Captain Marvel. So maybe he'll be the mystical one, especially since he's now the Sorcerer Supreme. So we kind of have those 4 areas covered of who's kind of like the recruiters, the management ones. The next bit of news is that we should be seeing, at least in Canada, this week was reported, the Marvel Netflix shows on Disney Plus in Canada by March 16th. This news went out to the Canadian press. It did not come out in the U.S. So it does seem like, depending on the country and the platform where these shows are going to be coming over uncut. I'm not sure if they're going to be coming to full on to Disney Plus in the US. There's still some rumors around some kind of new platform. Maybe they're going to rebrand Star for the US. Maybe Hulu will get folded into Disney Plus. But it does look like in other countries it's coming on Disney Plus through Star for the more mature content. I know it's been said by Chapek that he wants Disney Plus to get more adult subscribers and more adult content. So I could see them folding Hulu in or rebranding Star in the US to help with that. What else do I have? We talked about Kraven. We talked about that. We talked about Blade. So it looks like Loki did have a major influence on Multiverse of Madness. So hopefully with that influence there, we'll see some continuity there, because we did have some, I would say, some differences in Multiverse between Loki and what came out afterwards. So it's good to see that they're using the influence from Loki in Multiverse of Madness to get some kind of continuity there, because I think that's going to be a major role of what we've seen so far in Loki, at least tease what's coming in Multiverse of Madness and forward for the multiverse.
Yeah. They can also make Loki kind of like a, I guess, like in this multiversal war, kind of like a champion of somebody that's a veteran of, someone who's fought across the multiverse kind of type of deal.
And he could be kind of that multiverse recruiter.
Yeah. All these recruiters.
Yeah, all those recruiters. And then speaking of Multiverse of Madness and that kind of stuff, so Patrick Stewart was interviewed this week about the trailer for Mom, and he was like, what is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? And so, maybe he recorded that, some of his stuff off set and is not 100% sure or what's going on, or he's playing coy, he's pulling a Garfield. But it was a pretty funny interview, and he was laughing about that, about Multiverse of Madness and his potential role in it. So that was interesting. Ryan Reynolds has teased there will be a batch of updates coming for Deadpool 3. So look forward to those. There's been some back and forth about whether he appears in Multiverse of Madness or not. There's even some more stuff today that has inclined that he may make a cameo in it. And speaking of Multiverse of Madness and Multiverse and Loki and all that kind of stuff, it does look like all roads are leading to Secret Wars. So that's probably going to be the next Avengers movie. And then Work by Night is going to be filming in mid-March, or production mid-March, for 2 to 3 weeks. But here's something that'll get Andy going. The connection looks better now.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're here. You're here now. Hope we don't freeze again.
I was gonna drop out, but
stay in. I want to get your reaction for this.
Ready?
There's been some trending about a Wolverine Disney Plus series coming, and then there was that whole Taylor Edgerton article about he'd be flattered to play it. I know Andy's got his guy. He wants to play Logan.
Yeah, you know what though, I'd happily go with Taron Egerton, to be honest. I think he's excellent. I really do. I think he's really, really good. Everything that I've seen him in, I think he's been brilliant, and I'd happily go with Taron Egerton. Yes, I know Zac Efron, and I want him to do it, but I can't see it. And there almost seems like there'd be a war if it did actually happen. So I'm not sure that's a wise idea anyway. People might try and hunt me down and say it's your fault. But no, I'm happy with Taron Egerton doing it. And although I don't know, I think somebody said a little while ago about, does it need to be somebody that's known? Is this an unknown role? I think maybe that's the way they need to go, because they, might have been Mike actually said about the role that the actor can't be bigger than the role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not, I mean, that would be difficult, I guess, with Wolverine, but still, it still can't be, the actor can't be above the role.
I mean, a lot of the people that have been cast in the MCU, like, they weren't, A-list. Like, they weren't they were, some of them have been unknown, and a lot of them have made a very good name for themselves, like, by the roles they played.
I mean, even looking at, I'm just trying to think, really. I mean, the A-list people, the real A-list people that we've had in the last sort of 5 years, Angelina Jolie, Robert Redford. Do you know what I mean? There's been some
Salma
really
Hayek,
big, Yeah, Selma Hayek. There's been some really big people, but they've not necessarily gone in those. They've gone in those smaller roles, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, even somebody like RDJ, when he was cast as Tony Stark, I mean, his career wasn't where
He
he'd
was
like
kind of
it at
on
the
the
time.
down. Yeah, he's on the
Mm,
back nine of his career with everything going on, and then he
yeah,
kind of revitalized his career. So
yeah.
you could
Chris
see something
Evans,
like
Chris
that.
Hemsworth.
Yeah,
And I think Marvel's smart because they basically they took like characters like, let's say, the Eternals, and they took characters from Game of Thrones. They took well-known actresses that we knew like Angelina Jolie. They put them all together, and they basically like brought all these actors and actresses that everybody knew together to play this list of characters that are not as well known as like your normal, group of heroes.
Yeah,
So like Marvel does a really good job of bringing that star power at times to like the unknown names, like, and that's
mm,
where I think they need to really do that to make those characters really shine, I think.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. Yep, agreed. So yeah. I mean, if Taron Egerton gets the role, I'll be happy. If Zac Efron gets the role, I'll be super happy. But if they cast some unknown, and as long as they're good at it, it's all good.
yeah. There's also too rumor that we might get a Wolverine cameo in Mom as well, in Multiverse of Madness.
Mm.
So I wonder if they're gonna do more of just a one and done type cameo, and maybe we do see Hugh Jackman do it one last time, kind of like he was in First Class when he told them to f off.
Mm.
Or do we actually see that? Because I expect most of these people we see in Multiverse of Madness to pretty much be done one and done in this film, like wipe the slate clean. But I do think there'll be a couple of characters that are going to make it and transition over. Like we
Existing characters, you mean? People that have
well,
already played their role?
well, I think anyone like if we see like a new person coming as Wolverine, obviously that person's not going to be a one and done. That's probably
Yeah.
going to be the MCU's Wolverine. We know that the actress playing America Chavez, she was supposed to be in Multiverse of Madness. I'm sorry, in No
No
Way
way.
Home was supposed to be her debut, and she was supposed to be the magic portal person instead of Ned. But because of something happened with that and changes, she's going to be debuting in Multiverse of Madness. So anything new that we see like that are going to be probably the long haul. Now I see in the chat John Krasinski, but everything I'm hearing, if we see someone like John Krasinski, this is more fan service for him to just kind of be in the role. I don't see him long term in the MCU if we do see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic or Multiverse Captain America in the film.
Yeah. I
So
think if you saw him as a multiverse Captain America, it would not make more sense, but it would put more of a line under it,
yep.
under his role. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be like that's it. But if he come in as the Fantastic Four, I mean, we spoke about this last week, I think. If he come in as Mr. Fantastic, sorry, it would confuse a lot of people as to be like, wait a minute, is he going to play Reed going forward, or is this just for us, like because we've all been banging on about it, and and other people wouldn't even know what's going on. They'd go, "Oh, is he the new Reed Richards?" It'd be very confusing if they brought him in as Reed Richards, I think.
Well, also too, speaking of casting and moms, another piece of news to talk about, Bruce Campbell, who we've seen in the Raimi films, through all the Spider-Man films, he did record a cameo that I shared news today about. He didn't say who, but it was like a fan favorite character. So even something like that, like I said, they're probably going to do some of these cameos as fan service, as actors, something they want to do for a long time, but they don't want to commit to the role long term, and so we probably don't see them make it out of the movie. That's gonna be my guess.
Fred had an agree or disagree last week, I'm sure, and it said any. It was I can't remember what it was now. Does if you remember what it said? It said something around if any of the X-Men or anybody appears in this movie, that should be the only time they appear, and they shouldn't appear again. And I was like, I think a lot of people had the same sort of consensus. Actually, was that unless they do another multiverse thing, so like maybe for Secret Wars they can turn up again, but they shouldn't be mainstays going forward. Like it's not a problem to because they do that in the source material. They revert back to alternate versions or multiversal versions or different timeline versions of these characters, and they're even on screen together at the same, on a panel together at the same time, or on screen if it's the cartoons or whatever at the same time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it needs to be made clear that this isn't going to be as and when Patrick Stewart turns up, if he does, because according to him, he doesn't even know Doctor Strange is. So, which I know was a piece of your news, Jarian.
Yeah. So
that is absolute class. That little video there of him just basically saying, "I don't even know who Doctor Strange is." It was
Yeah.
just brilliant, deadpan professionalism.
it's like the Uber Eats. It's like the Uber Eats commercial. What are you talking about?
And do you know what? He almost played it as an old man as well, didn't he? Like
Yep.
it was that old man. Like I don't even know who that is. You got, But anyway, point is, if he turns up, I don't think there's anything wrong in him turning up again in 3 or 4 years or 5 years time as an alternate professor.
Yeah.
But,
Secret Wars, type of thing.
Yeah,
So Morbius news. It looks like we're getting a new trailer this week. It sounds like it's gonna be the final trailer for Morbius, I believe. And then we had some dates that were put out there. I saw on social media. So we know what's coming this year. So we know we're getting Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We know we're getting those this year. Next year we are getting 4 films: The Marvels, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and there's an untitled Marvel film on 11/3/23. And is that Fantastic Four? Is that Blade? I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Blade, since Blade's pretty much the train's on the tracks with Blade. So I think that's where we're gonna see Blade. But then in 2024, we also have 4 untitled Marvel films as well. So 2/16/24, 5/3/24, 7/26/24, and 11/8/24. So it looks like after the next 2 years, we are going to get 4 films a year from Marvel.
Yeah, that third of May 2024, I'm going with that being Fantastic Four.
I would say Fantastic Four or Captain America 4.
Yeah, it could be around
or Serpent Society.
Yeah. And so there's the dates on that one. So it looks like we're gonna be spoiled. And also next year we're getting a couple Sony films too, as well. We're getting, I think, Craven's next year also, and then we have 2 other ones that are untitled as well. So next year we're gonna have 7 Marvel films next year. So buckle up on that one. Let me see. Did I have any other news for today? We talked about that one. I think the last piece was Wakanda Forever filming. It looks like they're looking at Puerto Rico as a backup for Haiti for filming something. And it looks like whatever they're filming here, from what I've seen, I'm not going to go too deep in this, is going to be something very significant for the movie. The last piece of news is that James Gunn did take to Twitter to debunk that we'll see newer Earth music in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He said, nope, pretty much the Guardians left Earth right after the end of Endgame. And so the music that we see in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be all from the Zune that we saw Peter get in the previous movies. Which also, someone went to team back at James Gunn and said, does that mean the Christmas special will not be on Earth either? So that was something interesting.
Nice. Roxy reckons it's Blade. That
yeah,
date.
I agree.
It makes sense, doesn't it, as well, around that sort of Halloween time as well. And there's one from Fred. Fred said, I feel like the MCU has stopped worrying about casual viewers anyways. I think they don't care about being confusing as much as they used to.
Yeah, I think Multiverse of Madness is going to kind of pretty much confirm that, because I think we're going to see, like you've talked about, like Lucas talked about in the past with cameos that we want to see No Way Home. I think Mom is going to have the kitchen sink. They went through extensive reshoots. They went through, changes. More cameos were added from what I've heard reported. So it does feel like that Mom is going to kind of push that with the casual viewers for that movie.
Yep, agreed. So
then another comment, if not Blade, then Deadpool, which we should be getting a Deadpool update here pretty soon from Ryan Reynolds, like I mentioned. So it could be a Blade movie for that November date. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm sorry, a Deadpool movie, but I think it's gonna be Blade.
Yeah, I agree. It's all the wheels are in motion for it already, aren't they? So yeah. Brilliant, nice little news update there. Nice and compact, to the point. I like it. Excellent work. Thank you for that, Jarian, and thank you guys for chipping in there. This might allow for a little bit more discussion. So throughout the last sort of week or so, Alex has been compiling a few theories / questions from people on the group. and we've got a few good ones, haven't we, Alex? So we've got a couple of theories and a question sort of posed to us, I guess. But obviously we'll pose it to anybody listening as well. But I'll let you carry on, and you can do it in whatever order you want. Over you go. Over to you, mate.
All right. So one of the most interesting questions that I think Jamie brought up was X-Men team. Once they get brought into the MCU, what is your version of the X-Men team that you want to see, or what is the team that you want to see?
Go on, Jarian. You go first. And anybody that's listening, chuck a theory, or not a theory, but chuck a lineup in the chat. Jarian, over to you. Go on. What do you reckon?
So I kind of want to go more traditional lineup. I want to see the original 5, but I want to change one of them. So the original 5 were what? Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, and Marvel Girl, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that same lineup, but instead of Marvel Girl, I want to see someone like Storm instead, because I feel like she's more of a foundational piece of the team. And a lot of people probably don't know who Marvel Girl are, and they'll know who Storm is. I would say too that I wouldn't mind seeing Colossus getting something better than the previous movies. Yeah, they did him better in Deadpool, but the X movies he was kind of an afterthought. So if not Angel or Beast, substitute one of those with Colossus as well. I don't want to see Wolverine. I don't want to see Jean Grey. I don't want to see Nightcrawler yet. I'd rather see those that lineup.
I don't want to get all political, and obviously it's a very sensitive subject, but do you reckon they'll go down the Colossus route?
Oh, it's a good point with the current state of things. Yeah, Colossus may not be that one, so that's why I made my alternate.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Angel, Beast, Iceman, Cyclops, and Storm then for my lineup.
Yeah. I like the idea of doing a really true to the material lineup. So I would like to see the original 5, and I also would like to see. I don't want it to be all teen angsty, but I would like to see them being young as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were really young. Me and Mark were trying to work this out a long time ago about actually how old they were, and there was some lines in the first X-Men comic where they were talking about Angel's 16th or 17th birthday party, and then they said about Cyclops and they were talking about Iceman's 16th birthday party, and then they were talking about Angel and Cyclops only being a couple of years older than him, so they were sort of in their late teens. Beast was a year older than them, and it was never conclusive as to how old Jean was. But point is I'd like to see a young team, and I think they could be played by actors in their 20s, and that they could, if they was in their sort of late 20s, they can de-age them a little bit with makeup, maybe computer generated help to get them to be younger, and then they can also grow with the role as for the next 15-20 years.
And that's why the best thing I loved about the last X-Men movies that came out is they were so young, and they were still learning to become a team and how to use their powers and to function together. And that was one of the best things they showed. And I want to see more of that, but not necessarily the same characters. Like, I would love the Storm actress to come back to play Storm. I thought she nailed that role as Storm. Some of the other ones, up for debate. But if I had to keep my, like in fantasy football, your keeper league, she would be my keeper. And there's the comment here before Alex goes. Looks like I'd love to see Cyclops transition from a good, nice leader to a mutant terrorist along the course of multiple movies, which would be an interesting one to go with as well.
Yeah, I mean that's Fred that said that. I mean he's done that, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that Phoenix Force story, kind of, right?
Yeah. When it got to that, that was good. I really like that. And I want to see more of Cyclops. I want to see him being that real tactical leader. I'd really like to see that. And we've got Lisa just said, I just want to see him in their original outfits.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd quite like to see that as well.
I'd also like to see a character like Polaris thrown into the mix, like just to change things up a little bit. Yeah, I love Polaris. I always have. So like, and I think that like, we saw in the Fox movies, we saw some X-Men kind of get a disservice done to them, like Darwin, the unkillable mutant that was killed off.
Yeah.
So like, there's definitely like mutants that they could have that are young that could grow into the future role of like, being on the team. Like they could be like the children at the school, and just bring them up slowly through the movies.
And we've seen some obscure characters too out through the latest X-Men series too. Like for example, on in Eric's camp, he had the one psychic vampire. I'm going blank on her name. We talked about this a couple days ago, but she was actually on Magneto's team in the latest films. Like she actually was fighting as well with Nightcrawler also when they went to the house towards the end of the movie. So we've seen some other obscure X-Men also play minor roles. Maybe change that out a little bit as also.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, where my mind's just gone blank. Oh, so yeah, that's what I was going to say. As a fan cast, and I've always liked this girl, but Chloe Grace Moretz, I'd really like to see her take on Mystique. I think
That'd be an interesting one.
I think she could do a really good job as Mystique. She's a really talented actress, and I think that she could do a good job that. What's that comment there? That's from so Lisa agrees. She reckons they should be young. And Fred said, what's he said there? Honestly, the X-Men, they're a team that could go on in continuity forever without repeating characters or passing any mantles. There's so many diverse characters. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's such a massive, broad spectrum of characters.
Here's one for you real quick. Do you want to see a more darker, manipulative Professor X more to the comics? Because he was savage in the comics, and I felt like they barely touched on his manipulative, evil ways in the movies. I want to see more of that in the
100%. And I love Patrick Stewart, loved him, but he's too nice, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he? He's just too nice. He's just too nice.
So,
and going on to my car, and I love, I love cast. I think Jason Isaacs would be brilliant. He's got that look, that mean look about him. He's British, so he could pull off that sort of colloquial accent quite well. But yeah, I totally 100% agree with you there, Jarian. 100%.
Zack Snyder, there you go. Let Zack Snyder do it. Then we'll get the dark. We'll get the darkness of X-Men. Zack Snyder, there you go.
No.
Got a couple of people agreeing with you there, mate.
Yeah, that's what I want to see from Rewatch is also the darker side. Yeah, you want to see some of these. You don't want to see the popcorn, all teeny bop, happy stuff. You want things to get real and get real quick. And I think they have a chance to do that, especially if some of these are Disney Plus and not movies. And if they want some more adult-oriented content, some of these things will be perfect for it. And there, like I said, there is rumors of that Wolverine series, and that could be the first one they kind of start with dark, because he's not actually all happy and popcorn either. There's some good stuff there to explore with him, and we saw some of it in Logan, but I want to see more of that theme.
Yeah. Could they skip doing X-Men movies and just do an X-Men TV show that just ran
They could.
forever? Just run it forever. Run it for 12 seasons like Walking Dead. Just keep it going. Like you said, like Fred's saying, there's so many characters in there. To have a movie every 3 years and try and or every however many years, but even if they've done one a year, they're still only, even if they were 3 hours long, they're still only 3 hours of time to bring in these new characters. So why don't they just go, well, do you know what? We're just going to do a weekly. It's just going to be a weekly show. They'll do the same as what they do with any other show that's on, like I said, in any show that has sort of 20 episodes a season, and 20 episodes, and next year another 20 episodes, and then these characters can pop up in other movies. Maybe there's a feature movie that you go and see or something like that. But I think they could do that. I think it could be a show. X-Men could be a running show.
And then each episode's like an origin for one. You focus on one X-Men, do an origin story. All the origin stuff's out of the way, and then when they come to movies, we know what they are, we know where they've been. They can just be in the movies. Go ahead.
Well, and the beauty of this is like a lot of X-Men characters aren't even mutants. Like if you take Juggernaut, so they you're not painted in just a show about like mutants. And then not only that, but if you really want to, you can build on that. You can have X-Men. You could eventually do Alpha Flight. You could do Excalibur. Like these are all teams that have mutants on them. Like Excalibur is like a mostly mutant team. It even had Nightcrawler on it.
Yep.
Like at one point. So
So if they do Juggernaut again, do you want to see Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut that we saw in the X-Men movies, or do you want to see the Juggernaut voiced by Ryan Reynolds that we saw in the Deadpool movies?
I definitely don't want to see Vinnie Jones do it again. I love Vinnie Jones; he's great, but I don't want to see him be Juggernaut, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I don't
did
mind
like-
if it's the Ryan Reynolds version, but I
Yeah.
don't want Vinnie Jones to do it.
I like the spin on that one. He was larger than life too in that one also. So
Yeah.
I would go with the Deadpool version.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip you in half now.
Just before we move on to the next theory, the way that shows have been going recently, where they've got this interconnectivity, there's the streaming nature of shows, and what it allows now, it allows this kind of universe building to really become effective. You know, we've seen it in The Mandalorian, or sorry, in Boba Fett, and in Mandalorian and Star Wars shows. We're seeing it in. Yeah, you see why I got confused. We're seeing it in. I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead, so we're seeing it in Walking Dead with The World Beyond, and with Fear the Walking Dead. They're looking at creating a bigger universe now.
Spin-offs, yeah.
Yeah, spin-offs and things like that. And we're seeing it in other areas where they're bringing in, you know, people can dip in and out of other people's shows. These productions are always going on. It's different teams that are working on different things. And I think that maybe Marvel paved the way, but to be totally honest, I think that what we've seen from Boba Fett and Mandalorian in the last sort of year or so, I think they're doing a really great job of pushing that idea forward, where you can have these people just dipping in. I mean, at the moment, the Marvel shows have been very individual, haven't they? You know, we might have seen there's a character here or there, but I mean, what they've done with Boba Fett was ridiculous. The amount of sort of crossover that they brought into that. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
On that lines, would you want to see James Gunn helm that? Given what we've seen from Guardians of the Galaxy and then his success with Peacemaker, would you want to see someone like James Gunn helm those X-Men stories on Disney Plus?
I think it would need somebody to do that, wouldn't it? Whether that person is James Gunn or not, I don't know. Is that the right feel for X-Men? I'm not entirely. Yeah, I can see you shaking your head, Alex, and I'm not entirely sure. What you've obviously got a comment on that. Go on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if James Gunn's the right person. I'm kind of in that camp of like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are like the hardest castings to do, and then writing that story is going to be like even harder because like we've had tons of X-Men movies and we've had tons of Fantastic Four movies, and now we've seen those characters so much that you need something new, you need something inventive, and you know, like you kind of can't really, you don't want it to really overlap with anything in the past or even resemble really anything that we've gotten so far. So I mean, Gunn could probably do it, but I don't think that he would be the best person for it. I don't really know who I would choose either.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm just going off of Gunn because I like how he did Peacemaker, because we saw the good, we saw the bad. He kind of caught it from all the angles, and I think for someone to do something like the X-Men like that, I could see that be done smart way with the X-Men, because you're gonna have those peaks and valleys and the way he did it. But that's why I mentioned Zack Snyder, because you know he kind of captures that darkness a little bit too as well, and you know outside of his DCU stuff, just in his career. And there's been rumors about him doing something for Marvel as well, whether it's a Disney Plus series or a movie. So he could potentially capture that with X-Men.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, whatever they do with the X-Men, I think we're all kind of agreed we want to see a fair similar lineup where it's this kind of original lineup, maybe with a couple of slightly different characters, and certainly in their original outfits. But yeah, lots of potential there with the X-Men, and as you guys have been saying, it could go on forever. So go on, Alex. What's the next one, mate? What we got? What's somebody else brought us?
All right, so this one's from Justin, and it is a Kang variant appearing in Doctor Strange 2, and then Iron Lad assembling the Young Avengers further down the road. And I think that's a really interesting one, just kind of briefly mentioned, because we've seen like a member of the Young Avengers in almost every show since WandaVision. You know, I don't know if there was one in What If, but you never know. There probably was one somewhere in What If that I can't think of. But you know, in all the live action stuff we saw, like we saw Tommy and Billy in WandaVision. We saw Isaiah Bradley in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We saw Kid Loki in Loki. And we saw Kate Bishop in Hawkeye.
We're gonna have Miss Marvel series coming. We're gonna see America Chavez and Mom. Cassie Lang has been teased, take a bigger role. So Ironheart's coming.
And
Go ahead,
do
Andy.
then there's one left over, and he's fresh in my mind just because I read Empire last week. Do you think we'll see Hulkling as well in Secret Invasion?
I think we might see him.
I
We
think
could.
we might, because he's the only one that's not planned to show up. That's been and Iron Lad. So, but we know that Kang's about. So, I still who said that? I still don't see them having Kang, Iron Lad link. Ooh,
Yeah, I see. I
Ooh.
don't know if we had that either. And Alex and I were
Jameson.
chatting. I've thought that, we could see eventually form the group, and that's why I'm thinking about this with Justin's post as well. I could see them having Iron Lad running off in the desecration, destruction and Mom, and forming that team. But for me, it's a big if and a long shot. I think if we see anything Kang related, that's going to happen in a post credit scene, like Alex has talked about. In that sense, I think we've already got kind of a good cast of Young Avengers already, like you mentioned. We still got Miss Marvel to come. We still got Ironheart to come.
America
gonna see
Chavez could even
America
be on the team.
Chavez. We're going to see Cassie. We've already got Kate Bishop. I think we already have a good roster. I could see them adding Hulkling as the last piece, possibly. And I think that's it for now, because otherwise it might get too much. And what I'd love to see is maybe some kind of Disney Plus series where it recruits, who's the recruiter of them? Is it going to be Kate? Is it going to be, another one of them? Is it going to be Cassie? Or maybe it's a Cassie and Kate show where they're going out and recruiting all these and forming the team before we get them any kind of big role into a movie. It's all through Disney Plus. I could see that route going.
Just say hello, Antonio, who's logged on and reckons Gunn can do a good job with mutants going forward. So, but hello, Antonio. Good, thanks for tuning in to us. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying, Joe. And we've already had a lot of Young Avengers. Do we need Iron Lad at the moment? Probably not. We could wait for him further down the line.
Or do they do the play on Harley from Iron Man 3 and reckon it as a Stark connection instead of a Kang connection?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've said in the past that I don't think it was odd to have him in that funeral scene.
Yep.
If they're not gonna do anything with him at all.
Yep.
Because
and then also too the comic book as well. Now.
Yeah. But who knows? But yeah, good question, or good theory, Justin. I do see Iron Lad at some point, but maybe not yet. Go on, Alex.
But speaking of King ties, though, I would be surprised if we don't see a King tie in Moon Knight.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, back to
Run with Tide.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
So, from Antonio, actually, this is a fairly recent one, so I just wanted to read this out. I think this is a very good one. So he's basically saying that the Illuminati basically have an issue with a Wanda variant and destroyed or caused some issue to her universe. And that's going to lead to a variant of Wanda killing all of the Illuminati, and except for Mordo.
Okay. Just excuse my ignorance. Wanda's a Nexus being. Does that mean that she hasn't got any variants, or?
It depends how they do it in the MCU. In the comics, she is a Nexus being.
Yeah, and I think they kind of play with that term Nexus being a little bit. Like in the MCU, they kind of played with it as like Nexus events. But I mean, like they could very well be like, oh, like Wanda's a Nexus being. She's the Scarlet Witch in every universe. They could simply just make it as easy as that. So,
right. Okay.
So if we do go that route, though, I don't think it'll be Mordo surviving. I think if we do see Namor on the Illuminati, it's going to be the main universe, and he's the only Illuminati one that survives. If they introduce Namor in Multiverse of Madness, so I could see that a little bit, but I would tweak the Illuminati member to Namor, because we saw the Namor tie-in with Stark before. His phone, the location in the sea, Stark is gone. So what if Stark was the Illuminati member for the main universe with his passing that went to Namor? Like maybe Stark already knew Namor or had some kind of connection to Namor.
I do think I agree with Antonio's sort of idea that the Illuminati are looking out at the multiverse and the timelines from their own independent kind of
perspective.
stance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony's just said no. I guess that's in relation to the is Wanda an Nexus being, meaning that she's got no other variants. If you want to elaborate on that, Tony, feel free. But yeah, I mean, Wanda's clearly not the good, not the.
And Andy has gone
Not the
frozen again. Oh, you're fine. But anyways, his reply was Nexus beings are just folks who can mess with time and future of their universe. Fancy comic work for VIP. In the comics, you got Wanda and Ultimates.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's next? Because we got Andy who keeps playing his Iceman impersonation. So
Which one's next?
yeah.
Okay, so another one, and Jack Turner brought this up. Agatha could eventually be on some type of Midnight Suns team. I thought that was a really interesting.
Yep, I could see it because the Midnight Suns team, even though it's called Midnight Suns, they did have female members like I'm going blank now. Black Cat was one of them. Was it the Bloodstone or what's her name? Elsa Bloodstone. But there was like a couple of them of female members on Midnight Suns, so I could see in the MCU that Agatha taking the role of one of them because we haven't seen some of those variations. You know, yeah, we saw the Black Cat silhouette in No Way Home. We saw the Black Cat tease and then the paper for Morbius. But I definitely think Agatha could be on the team, or she may be an antagonist against them as well, depending on you know what they do with her next, what the House of Hartnell show actually shows us. But yeah, I agree with that.
Am I back yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking about that House of Hartness show. I'm really interested to see where they go with that. I mean, they've obviously made that show basically on the back of her popularity from WandaVision, because I can't imagine that was part of their overall plan. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it doesn't seem to me like that. They've sort of gone, do you know what? We're going to make a whole Disney Plus show about Agatha Harkness. You know, they must have made that on the back of her popularity. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of angle they take with that. Whether it's going to be more of what we've already seen in regards to the tone of it, or whether it is going down a completely different route and taking her out of that scenario that she was in Westview and the person that she was. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, like I say, the tone of that show.
Yeah. So. Looking at I pulled up the Midnight Suns roster real quick. So they had Jennifer Kale, they had Black Cat, they had Topaz, they had Elsa Bloodstone. So they had those female members on the team. I definitely could see her being the Topaz role for the team because Topaz was a sorceress. So if they did it with Agatha, I could definitely see her being the Topaz person of the team.
Would Blade like recruit her to the Midnight Suns then, I guess?
Possibly.
Yeah. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah. Blade recruits her, or maybe she comes across them because maybe they're going after someone like Chithon or Blackheart or whatever, and with her knowledge of the Darkhold and her having the Darkhold right now in the MCU, I definitely see a tie there.
And they've both had like a prolonged lifespan, you know, in the MCU. So, like, they could have had history before. They could do something like that, or they could just simply be like, Blade's like, hey, I've been tracking her for X amount of time, you know?
Yep.
Like, so.
Maybe Blade was chilling in Westview as well, you know? With some suckheads, you know? But I think the Darkhold will be that tie-in for Agatha if she's part of the team. I think that makes the most sense, and she already has the Darkhold. And we've already, you know, from that, and maybe as they bring Ghost Rider in as well, it's through Ghost Rider. You know, maybe she's the one that leads Ghost Rider into the MCU through the Darkhold. Who knows?
Wanda's got it at the moment now, hasn't she?
Yep. It's in. Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. Wanda has it now. So
yeah, Wanda's got it.
Maybe after Multiverse of Madness, we see some post-credit scene where all of a sudden Ghost Rider pops out, you know, and, you know, he's looking for people who have been exposed to the Darkhold, and that leads him to Wanda, or to Agatha through Wanda, the whole Multiverse of Madness West. And then we see Blade pop up and be like, hey, you know, I'm putting together a team.
Yeah. I think that's likely. Have we got any more, Alex? We've got 5 minutes. I reckon we can maybe squeeze another something.
So I got one more that I think is really interesting on the back of Secret Invasion. And Jamie actually posed this one. So he said the first villain for Fantastic Four will be the Super Skrull. With it being like a shame Skrull general, most likely from a loss in Secret Invasion. So bring that in as like the first Fantastic Four villain would be like, say, the Super Skrull.
Anyone but Doom, please. Yes. So I
Yeah.
totally agree. I don't want to see the Doom story played out. We've seen it done twice. Don't do it a third time. The disgraced Super Skrull general would be a good one. I think that's a good way to go.
I mean, they say third time's the charm. I don't think it would be in this case.
You got to get
though.
the cast, the story, and Doom right. That's a trifecta for a third time to get right.
Yeah, and they haven't really gotten a lot of that right in any of the previous films, like at all. Like, and it seems like with every one, it's gotten a little bit worse almost.
Yeah.
Do you think, I've heard a lot of people say this, do you think that the idea of the Fantastic Four is an old idea that doesn't translate into sort of modern storytelling, especially in regards to movies? You know, obviously they were the first family of Marvel, and it was they're from an era, a bygone era from the sort of 60s. So is it something that it's too wholesome for modern viewers? I don't know. I'm just saying what I've kind of the feel I'm getting. It's not my opinion necessarily. I think it can be done. It's 100% it can be done. But if they haven't translated, they haven't modernized it enough. It was almost like they tried to do what they did in the comics in a movie. I know it wasn't. It was, when was it, like 2008?
Yeah,
No, I don't know. When was it from? I can't remember.
Yeah,
It
it might have been
wasn't
like
long ago, was it?
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago, was it? Do you think it wasn't modern enough?
I
So,
think that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, I think that the biggest issue for that is, like, you know, it's almost been like the origin story's almost been so similar. Like, there's really been no changes. Like, it's like playing a game of telephone with them is what it feels like. Like, you get like the same story, but you get it told to you a different way, kind of like type deal. And they haven't really had, like, I haven't liked Doom in any of those movies. I haven't liked Galactus, was horrible. Like, I liked Silver Surfer. I mean, that was you know, good. They did a good job with him. I liked him, but like, I can't really think about those movies like in really. I guess, like, say I enjoy a large part of those movies. You know,
I like the Thing as well in the first one.
Yeah. What is that, Michael Chiklis?
Yeah, I liked how you put the Thing in that one. So.
Yeah, and I thought he did a really good job as the Thing, to be honest. And you know, it's funny, Chris Evans playing Human Torch. It's like, you know, it's kind of it's weird to see him play that role and then play like Captain America. You know, like, but yeah, he did an okay job with that role. But like, and Michael B. Jordan did an okay job with Human Torch as well. So like, I think certain people have played certain roles well, but I don't think the films have been the greatest.
I think it helped when you got a good actor in there, though. I mean, Michael B. Jordan is a good actor. Chris Evans is a good actor. And I think when whether they did the best, they probably did the best they could with the role, but they still probably weren't right for the role. No, they definitely weren't right for the role, to be totally honest. I don't think either of them were right for the Human Torch role. But they did do well because they're good actors. Do you know does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who said that Silver Surfer was their favourite? Doug Jones was good.
Yeah, but my word just added that they need to do some kind of change on it. They can't do the same story, mix it up, you know, go back, come forward, you know, have flashbacks. Should not be a full on origin story. Tie them with someone like, you know, Hank Pym in the quantum realm, or, you know, and let them come back and be more modernized with Scott. I think Scott's comedy, you know, on top of that would kind of help a little bit in the story, but don't do the same thing you've done.
They need to do what they did with Spider-Man in the MCU, where they kind of just brush over that origin a little bit and just bring them in and go ahead and have them fight a threat. Like, we don't need to like see the origin story again for a third time. Like, we've seen that twice with the other Spider-Man movies, you know, all that play out. We didn't need to see it with Peter Parker. We don't need to see it for a third round of Fantastic Four movies.
Do you think we could get the same kind of in-house or in-movie reboot that we got from Spider-Man? Because that's basically where we're at now. They've kind of rebooted Spider-Man in the MCU after a trilogy, but not actually rebooted him, which has been really clever. So maybe they'll do the same sort of thing with Fantastic Four.
I also think that's kind of like the MCU's way of being like, well, if Sony doesn't want to play ball, then everybody's forgotten who he is. So like he's not really like pertinent to our storytelling. But if you want to bring Spider-Man back in down the road, we can have people then know who he is. And it's kind of like Disney's way of like basically shutting the door but leaving it unlocked in case they want to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right. I think we're going to wrap that up there, guys. We've been chatting for about an hour. Brandon's just turned on and just said, absolutely. We do not need a repeat origin, just a reference move forward for the Fantastic Four.
And that's why I think flashbacks, have them come up in modern times. Maybe they find them in Quantumania during that, maybe the negative zone is somewhere within the quantum zone, like an area they find, or as they're battling with Kang in Quantumania, they come across the negative zone and pull them out. Or maybe Kang has them trapped himself.
Sue and Reed could have worked with Hank Pym.
Exactly, like
Shield.
before. Yep.
You know?
And then, have
There's
them
so
come back
many
out.
avenues.
Yeah. And everything else is just flashbacks. We have a flashback to when we see, like, kind of like an Endgame, we saw Hank Pym, in Jersey, working on Pym particles. And Andy's freezing again, but I'll keep going. And so, those flashbacks, have it come forward. Don't do a full-on origin story. Have Doom come through some other avenue. That Ramos actor that's been cast for Ironheart seems to be a pretty big role, not just a Ironheart role, but it's said to be similar to Jonathan Majors' appearance in Loki as He Who Remains and going to be Kang and so forth. So here's my last theory for that. Ramos is Doom. We get a tease of Doom in Wakanda Forever of Latveria, but we don't see Doom. Doom comes in, maybe is like a schoolmate of MIT or the antagonist in Ironheart, and that leads into Doom coming later. I would still love to see some kind of Doom coming through at Wakanda Forever route, and we know that Riri is going to be in Wakanda Forever. She's going to get her Ironheart series. You could tie all that together and then bring Doom full on into the MCU as a major villain.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Andy, are you on mute?
Andy again.
Did you hit the button again?
I don't know what button I'm hitting.
Oh, okay. Now he's back. And now he's not back. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Andy's having some connection issues today. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Those of you on Facebook, the page and the group, and on Twitch and on our YouTube channel and via Twitter as well. These will be posted as well in the group as usual on the regular channels. For myself, Andy, and Alex, have a good one, and thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, guys.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced
All right. Well, as I remember,
at Avenger headquarters?